You're listening to episode 51 of Present Moment. Welcome to Present Moment, Mindfulness, Practice, and Science. I'm Ted Meissner. Present Moment is a podcast with interviews, conversations, and roundtable discussions. We speak with mindfulness teachers about their newest findings published in peer-reviewed science journals, teachers about their understanding and methods as they work with students of mindfulness, authors about their books and interests, and we also speak with everyday practitioners. The website presentmomentmindfulness.com has show notes for each episode along with resource materials. Andrew Mumm joins us to speak about the upcoming 7-Day Forgiveness Challenge. One of the more difficult meditations I've struggled with is loving kindness. There's always been two speed bumps. First, in extending a sense of kindness to those who have harmed me, and second, in extending that kindness to myself. Something that teaching has revealed, however, is that I'm not alone. Many people have those same speed bumps, and for some, they are seemingly insurmountable walls. Our inner critic, the one who judges self and others, is the dark wolf we've fed most of our lives. Our meditation can help us with a key aspect of letting go of that hurt: forgiveness. Desmond Tutu said, "Forgiveness says you are given another chance to make a new beginning." Today, we're going to learn more about the Forgiveness Challenge, an additional way to help us let go. Andrew Mumm is the creative director of Human Journey, an initiative co-founded by Archbishop Desmond Tutu that is committed to spreading the African understanding of Ubuntu, the realization that each of us thrives only when all of us thrive. Human Journey's first project, the Forgiveness Challenge, teaches Desmond Tutu and his daughter Mpo's 4-step process to forgive anyone for anything. 22,000 people from over 170 countries have participated. Andrew graduated from USC Film School and worked in Hollywood for 2 years before feeling called to do more meaningful work. He packed his life into a rucksack and volunteered to do trail and wilderness restoration. Living in nature connected Andrew to what matters most in life, and he decided to put his storytelling skills back to work to spread the wisdom of innovators and visionaries in ways that lead to practical action in the real world. He strives with each project to inspire individuals to reach their potential. Our guest today is Andrew Mumm. Andrew, thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a real honor to be able to speak with you and speak with all the people who are listening to my voice right now.
Yeah, and I wanted to send a special thank you to Jennifer Hawkins, who encouraged and really coordinated speaking today about something that's so very important to all of us. And we might even realize how very important it is. But before we go into that, Andrew, let's have you tell us a little bit about your background.
So I have always been drawn to telling stories. As a kid, me and my neighbors would run around with a little film camera and just, shoot movies. And then I went to film school at USC, and, I still have old tapes of myself talking into a radio, my acceptance speech at the Oscars. I always had this vision of becoming this great film director. But then when I graduated, I was hit in 2008 with the harsh realities of the recession. I got to see kind of the darkest side of Hollywood. Working on reality TV shows and a lot of just really superficial. And it all seemed to be about getting people to consume more and to numb themselves and not to feel. I just thought there had to be more to life. And I packed my life into a backpack and moved out to the Southwest and joined an international volunteer crew where we were working in the wilderness, sleeping 9 days out under the stars, working with our hands. And it was just so tangible, the impact that we were having at the end of the day. You could see, the acres of weeds that had been pulled, or, the mile of trail that had been cut. And then the sense of community, around the fire at the end of the day, sharing stories and connecting to our shared humanity. And so that kind of lit my fire and helped connect me to what really matters in life. But I still wanted to tell stories. And so I moved back out to California, and I got really lucky with the job that I am working now with Human Journey. But initially I was, started my own creative agency called Sparkbug. The idea was whoever had a great, world-changing ideas, we would, spread that spark that people have like a bug around the world. With that company, I was doing a lot of browsing on Craigslist for jobs, and a lot of it was pretty inglorious stuff. And I saw an ad for an online business manager for the Book of Forgiving, which is this book by Desmond Tutu. And I'm like, what is this? This is like nothing of the other ads, which are like all these like marketing things. And so I, researched Desmond Tutu because I didn't really know him that well. And I was, blown away. He's such a towering figure. And if anyone searches him on YouTube, maybe do Desmond Tutu laugh, you'll see he has an incredible laugh. He's this just joyous, human, just very human, and so I wanted to work on that project. And so I created this, big presentation and made this pitch for a position that didn't really exist, and was lucky enough to be able to work on creating the Forgiveness Challenge, which was taking, Desmond Tutu's wisdom and his daughter, Empah Tutu, who is equally incredible, and taking their wisdom that they learned in South Africa through the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, through, traveling around the world, of how do you heal? How do you forgive? How do you become whole again after being broken? And so our goal was to take that wisdom and make it actionable, make it so you could integrate it into your life, and you could do it alongside, thousands of others, and ideally spread forgiveness to the point like meditation, where it's just a daily practice that people are doing to be, healthy and happier and more connected.
So tell us about the Human Journey and how that itself got started. Tell us a little bit about that background.
So the Human Journey was co-founded by Doug Abrams, who is a literary agent extraordinaire. He has worked as a collaborative writer on a lot of books, and his goal with Idea Architects was to work with the great visionaries and help get their ideas to the masses. And that is how he began this relationship with Desmond Tutu, because he realized Tutu didn't have any books out, and he had always looked up to him. I think Tutu came and spoke at Stanford when Doug was at Stanford. And so he was blown away that there wasn't any books. And so he, went through and compiled, like looking at all of Tutu's speeches, and then took those speeches and crafted them into a book, and then arranged a meeting with Desmond Tutu and presented him, this manuscript. They became, fast friends, and the Archbishop has become like a father to Doug. They have a very close relationship. And they, co-founded Human Journey together as this idea of, how do we spread and connect people around these great ideas? And how do we help people, reconnect around our shared purpose? Because it seems that our lives, there's so much noise, and there's so much, this feeling that we're at competition, or that the challenges we face are unsurmountable. And we forget that we're on this shared human journey together. And that when we work together, there is nothing we can't accomplish. And so if we can help people cut through the noise and reconnect to our shared humanness, the potential for humanity could be glorious. And so we just want to have a role in helping people unlock the potential, the world that our heart knows is possible.
So Andrew, when you joined Human Journey, was the Forgiveness Challenge a part of it yet? Or was that something that you were involved in building? How did that come about?
Yeah, so the Forgiveness Challenge was like the pilot project for Human Journey. And so when I came aboard, it was late January and we were going to launch the challenge in May. And, we had the book of forgiving, but then everything else, we were building from scratch. And so it was a wild ride, and I, had no experience in web development or in design. And, we formed a scrappy little team and we worked hard, and we were blown away at the results. We really touched people's lives, and, the testimonials were just so fulfilling to read, to know that we had created something that helped people transform and heal and reconnect with.
So tell us about the challenge. What is it?
So the Forgiveness Challenge takes Desmond and Empah Tutu's wisdom and their 4-step path to forgiveness that they have, noticed as through all the truth and reconciliation work and the forgiveness work they've done. They've identified this pattern of 4 steps that happen when people heal. And the first one is you tell the story. You start with the truth. And then, the second you have to feel your emotions. You name your hurt. You feel how you feel, the emotions behind the facts. And the third step is granting forgiveness, which is actually really seeing the other person's humanity and realizing that they're human and they made a mistake. And you could have made that mistake as well, and feeling that compassion and empathy for the other person. And then the final step is renewing or releasing the relationship, where you decide, if possible, you want to renew the relationship. But if you're continually being harmed by the person, then you may have to release it. And so the challenge takes these 4 steps and walks you through the process with, these beautiful audio meditations by Empah Tutu, with these, intimate video clips with Desmond Tutu sharing his wisdom. But what I've learned is the most powerful part of the challenge is these journal exercises that you have each day. And they really offer you an opportunity and a space to reflect and to dig in and to process what has happened. And so, people who have really had these transformative experiences around the challenge, it's the journaling that has been so huge, and the exercises that help people process the hurt that has been done to them. And then the other aspect is, you're doing this, you're not alone. You're doing this work alongside others. And so there's a community you can connect with, you can ask for help, you can share your experience, you can gain support. Does that answer the question? Was it a little?
No, that does answer the question very well. And I'm wondering, what's some of the stories of what you've heard, of course, honoring people's confidentiality of their personal stories, but what are some of the inspirational things that you've heard from the challenge to date?
One of the most incredible was this woman who her parents had died in the Holocaust, and she never felt like it was her right to forgive. And so it was, she held on to this resentment and this pain. And going through the challenge, she was able to let go. And the freedom that was on the other end was really transformative for her. But it was just, I guess, reading all these testimonials of people who had been working on it. And the people who had really succeeded were people who had been working on the challenge, on healing. And they'd already kind of known there was this issue they were trying to forgive. And then they dug in. And so it was great to hear, this feedback of, people who had spent, years in therapy and were finally able to have this, powerful healing experience, and just all this gratitude pouring in, ranging from people who had been divorced to, one of my favorites was this woman who had her boss was just unbearable. And she felt like she was.
None of us can associate with that. We don't get that at all.
Yeah, we've all been there. And she said, her job felt like hell, and she just had all this resentment and judgment towards her boss. And it was just like you spend all your time at work. And so if you feel uncomfortable at work, it's really suffocating. And she went through the challenge, and she was able to realize that her boss wasn't doing it on purpose. It was happening unconsciously. And she, spoke up, and they were able to heal. And now, she says that when people see them, they think that they were always BFFs. That the boss will come in to ask for advice, and they're talking and laughing. And it has just been like a 90-degree turn, or I guess 180. And so that's the thing, is that it doesn't need to be for big things. Forgiveness is a powerful tool to deepen the relationships that you already have with the people that you already love. to make sure that those resentments and that bitterness doesn't build up.
Andrew, one of the things you mentioned that I just want to put a spotlight on for a moment is that forgiveness doesn't in any way mean that someone has gotten away with something or that you have to force yourself to stay in a hurtful, harmful relationship. That sometimes forgiveness is letting go and prudent distance, because that's what needs to occur. And the forgiveness is more so giving yourself permission to do that, to make that separation if you need to.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. Desmond Tutu says it really well, and I don't know if this might be an appropriate time to hear his voice, but he definitely has this great way of talking about how do you know if you should renew or release that relationship, and what is forgiveness and what it isn't.
I think that's a very good segue. Let's take a moment and listen to that now.
Say, for instance, someone slaps me. The physical pain of the slap is a thing that lasts for a very short while. But if I keep the pain of having been belittled with me all the time, then it is as if that slap is eternal, as it were. And really, forgiveness is setting me free from the anguish that I cause myself by the memory of what has happened to me.
Very nice words, and especially that description of what we mean by why forgive and what change that elicits in us. Very wonderful to hear that. Thank you. So you have some important dates coming up, starting with the United Nations International Day of Peace. Yeah. And for folks who are listening to this episode, just so you're aware, this is September 2015. So that's what these time references are. If you're listening to this later on, just want you to be aware of that. Andrew, tell us about that UN International Day of Peace, how it relates to the next 7-day forgiveness challenge.
So the UN really wants to focus on making peace tangible. And so their slogan for the campaign this year is Forgive for Peace. And they say that they believe forgiveness is the first step on the path towards peace, and that through the act of forgiveness, we can cultivate meaningful and lasting change. And this is something that happens on the small scale and on the large scale. And so they're planning this great weekend before the 21st. I think that would be the 19th and 20th in New York, and with events throughout the world to celebrate peace. And then on the 21st is kind of the action day, which is, how do we take this idea of forgiveness and how do we bring that to life in our lives? And so we're partnering and are launching a 7-day forgiveness challenge with a very simple focus. Forgive one person in 1 week. And we aren't asking you to forgive the deepest, darkest trauma that you have. It's like you don't walk into yoga class for the first time and do a headstand. And, we've all been at the gym and seen the guy who's picking up way too much weight. But you're asking to hurt yourself. And so what we want is for this 1 week, think of someone in your life that you love, that you want to continue to have a blossoming relationship with. But there's something that they did to you that you haven't had the guts or the courage to talk about. And you've just been it's a little bit of a resentment or a bitterness there. I don't know, Ted, is there anyone that comes to mind in your life?
There are. I imagine there are far many more people who have that resentment towards me. I could name a few, but yeah, forgiveness can be, but doesn't have to be a two-way street as well. And it can be, as I said, Andrew, something light. Maybe the person who cut you off in traffic or had a few too many items in the 15 items or less line of the grocery. Something small, something manageable. Start with that. That's okay too.
That's a great point about forgiveness being a two-way street a lot of the times, especially when we're in relationship with someone, a good friend, a life partner, a coworker. The hurts just go both ways. It's just a part of being alive. We we hurt each other, not on purpose. It just happens. And so that would be the best, is if you could, go through the challenge with someone in your life that you love. And for that week, you each, forgive each other for something different, and you'll be blown away at how much deeper your relationship becomes, and how you'll be able to connect on a level that would have been unimaginable.
And Andrew, tell us about the 28th. What's happening then?
Yeah, so after this week of everyone, forgiving one person for one thing, there's a celebration in movie theaters across the United States, in 500 theaters. We'll be screening a film on forgiveness, as well as there will be a forgiveness panel, and just, live music. And it's, one of those live stream events. But the main value is you'll get to see other people who've been doing this forgiveness work, and meet them, face to face, and share your stories, and, ask questions if you have them, and then watch a really inspirational film about a real life forgiveness hero, Chris Williams. The film is called Just Let Go, and you get to see his journey to forgiveness. And so, when I was living in Santa Cruz, we used to go every Thursday down to Big Sur to watch the International Film Festival there. And it never mattered what the movies were, just because the whole experience of, connecting with others and sharing space was so beautiful and worthwhile.
So, Andrew, tell us, how can people take the challenge? What do they do?
Excellent. So if you go to forgivenesschallenge.com, you'll be able to sign up. And we are trying to get as many people to sign up as possible, and to start on the 21st. And then once you sign up, you'll be getting an email from us, and we'll send you, daily inspiration, as well as you'll get access to a 7-day, online course that has the videos and the audio and the journal entries. And we'll also have, the community support, so you can connect with people from around the world who are taking this step to create more peace, not only in their lives, but in our world. Because if we want peace in the Middle East, but we can't even have peace in our own homes, that we have to start where we are, how we can.
Excellent answer. Thank you for that, Andrew. Appreciate it. So people who are listening, if you want to find out more, you can go to, as Andrew said, forgivenesschallenge.com, or directly to humanjourney.com. You'll see the information there. Our guest today, Andrew Mumm. Andrew, thanks for being here.
I appreciate it. It's a pleasure, Ted.
Thanks for listening. If you'd like to learn more about something you've heard in today's podcast, please come visit the website at presentmomentmindfulness.com. You'll find an entire webpage devoted to this and every episode. You can comment on the episode page and find show notes and other helpful resources for your mindfulness practice. The shakuhachi music heard on Present Moment is used by permission and through the generosity of musician Rodrigo Rodriguez. His website is linked on the Present Moment website on the About Podcast Music page. Sound editing, mixing, and mastering provided by the generosity of Anthony Dominello of StructureFromSound.com. Until next time, remember, every moment you have a choice. Make it the best you can. See you next time on Present Moment.